Fan Formula, it is that time of the week again. And the title for this week's Fan Formula just sums up the whole weekend, Super Spa. I mean, how dare Mr. Ecclestone contemplate not having Spa on the race calendar? It should be mandatory that it is always on. The day that Mr. Ecclestone says no Spa, I'm sure there will be an outcry and we will be going to find him with our pitchforks and other things that people use when that kind of thing happens. Anyway, let's get going with this week's questions. Right, question 1. I have a few drivers of the day. I thought this was the race that everyone pulled out all the stops. And I know I can only pick one, but I can't because it's too hard, so I've picked 3. Now, I'm not being biased before any of you say anything, but one of my drivers of the day was Sebastian Vettel. Everyone has criticised him, saying he can't overtake, he can only win / kind of get on the podium if he starts in those positions. Well, what a race he had on Sunday. All those kind of daring moves into the bus stop chicane could have ended up in collisions like there has been in the past, but they didn't. He has the skill and the car to be able to pull off moves like that and make them stick, so good on you. My other 2 drivers of the day would be the Toro Rosso boys, Jean-Eric Vergne and Daniel Ricciardo. Achieving a double points finish for the team and being up there in the battles with the big boys like Schumi, and then finishing ahead of Paul di Resta and the other midfield teams. It's a great achievement for Toro Rosso because they haven't had the best of seasons so far, so I'm hoping that this is a massive turnaround for the team. The bonus of having Toro Rosso double points finish is more media attention, and we don't get a lot of that because they're always kind of way down the grid. I loved the interview with Jean-Eric Vergne, so thanks Natalie Pinkham for that. Just the accent and just, I love him. Back to reality. Anyway, so yeah, thumbs up for the Toro Rosso boys for finally having a decent car that can race up near the top, and I hope we can see it again in Monza. Right, question 2. Originally, when the incident happened, I automatically blamed it on Crash Tour with Maldonado. I kind of like that name. That should be his new name. But then realised he wasn't in the pilot because he had jumped the start, cheeky monkey. But yeah, it was definitely Romain Grosjean's fault. I just think he mistimed the gap between himself and Lewis Hamilton, and once Rogro had it, he just couldn't do anything to prevent crashing into Lewis. I think if you were arguing on the defence for Romain, which I know a few of you will be doing, you could say that when Lewis saw Romain Grosjean move over, he could have kind of eased off a bit. But, you know, that's just always going to happen at the start of the race because everyone wants to be ahead of the pack going into the first corner to get out of those kind of collision areas. I do think his penalty was a bit harsh. You know, yes, the incident was terrible, and with how close Romain Grosjean was to Alonso's head, it could have ended up a lot worse than it did. But there are drivers on the grid who have been involved in a number of accidents and incidents this season and have had pointless penalties that haven't prevented kind of less happening. If you kind of get my drift, if that makes sense. So yeah, I don't want to go into more about that because it's happened, and we can't do anything about it, but I am excited to see Jerome D'Ambrosio back in action. We've missed Custard so much, so it'd be good to have him back in Monza, and I hope he does a really, really good race and shows Lotus his stuff. Question 3. This Twitter controversy isn't even a controversy. People are just making out to be, and journalists, I am looking at you. You know, Twitter is a place for people, whether they are actors, actresses, singers, sportsmen, or just civilians like us, to speak their mind. If they're famous, it's a great way to connect with fans and keep them up to date with what you're doing outside of work. I love the fact that we can see and hear and read, I should say, what the driver's doing off the track. It reminds you that they are normal people and they do normal stuff like what we do. If Lewis wants to show his disappointment from practice, qualifying, or the race, then let him. At the end of the day, the media can only report on so much. At the track, the journalists can only report on what they get in press releases from the team. So if they see something like this on Twitter, they can make a massive story out of it when they shouldn't. Twitter is a really useful place for us to hear the driver's point of view in this kind of situation when their weekend doesn't go according to plan for them. Now, with Lewis's tweet, he tweeted an acronym. It's not like he wrote the actual swear word. You know, Mark Webber has tweeted shit before, but no one cares. Lewis writes WTF, and it's being blown up like he shot someone. Obviously, I can understand the team don't want Lewis kind of tweeting the picture of the telemetry graph between his qualifying lap and Jensen's qualifying lap, because that's kind of private information for the team, and they don't want other teams, like Christian Horner said that he's seen it, so they're going to, be passing that around their engineering department, and I'm sure plenty of other teams, well, I'm pretty sure all of the teams of the grid saw that photo. But, the team are trying to protect their brand, and if sponsors see that, they might not be too pleased with it. You never know what's going to happen with people who kind of invest a lot of money in the team. They might not want things like that to happen, and they might not want to continue investing in the team. And, Formula One these days is all about kind of surviving on how much money you have. But yeah, Lewis was showing how passionate he is for the sport and his career. He wants to be the best, and he's showing us and giving us an insight into why he wasn't the best that weekend. And I know I'm not the biggest Lewis Hamilton fan, but I love that he's tweeting like he's tweeting instead of all the kind of boring PR scripted tweets. And I probably shouldn't be saying that as I am going into PR. But it's great for the fans to be able to read this. Formula One is really all about the fans. So they should do stuff for us. The majority of the Formula One grid has Twitter, but no one cares about them. Everyone just seems to care about Lewis Hamilton all the time. Anyway, enough of that. Bonus question, because we love a good bonus question, right? And this is a hard bonus question as well, because I know there are a few JB fans on here who will be saying, yes, he can win the championship now after that win in Spa. But I don't think his championship can be ignited after this race result. I'm sorry, guys. Please don't hate me or come and track me down. And forgive me if I'm wrong, but there are other drivers who are in a better position than him. If he had had a better first half of the season, then this question would be completely different, obviously. And yes, he probably would be up there with Alonso, Sebastian Vettel, Mark Webber, and his teammate. But he's not. And I'm not saying JB couldn't have won the race on Sunday if it wasn't for the crash, because he really was on fire that weekend, and I think he surprised everyone. He led every lap from start to finish, and that's the way to do it. So I'm kudos to JB. But this isn't Jensen's season. I'm sorry. I still think he has it in him to get some more podium finishes. But will he win the championship? Simple, no. I'm really sorry for all the JB fans out there. So please don't hate me. But yeah, there we have it. My ranting is finished. This 10 minutes long. This is a long rant. I'm sure there will be longer rants than this, and Grace is going to have her work cut out this week to edit this all. But I hope you had a fantastic weekend, Grace and Spa. I'm looking forward to your on the road little segment on your website, your blog thing. So yeah, thanks for listening. I hope I haven't bored you too much with my ranting. But there we have it. Monza is on Friday at the weekend. So yeah, let's rock and roll and get a good result in Monza and hope that this guy, where are we? There. Woo! There we go. Woo! Let's just hope that guy can repeat last year's result. So yeah. Thanks for listening again, and I shall see you all next week for next week's instalment. Bye!